Let me ask you something. Have you ever had success, but felt empty? Have you ever chased pleasure only to feel more lost afterward? What if I told you that everything you've been told about happiness is just the surface level? What if there are 3 levels of happiness, and mastering them could completely transform the way you live? This isn't just theory. This is your life. And when you unlock these 3 levels, you don't just feel good. You feel alive. Let's go. Listen, I've worked with millions of people, CEO, athletes, world leaders, moms and dads, people who had it all and people who had nothing. And here's what I've learned. Everyone is chasing happiness, but most are stuck on level 1. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 3 levels of happiness. Each one is more powerful than the last. If you master them, you won't just be happy. You'll be fulfilled, energized, and unstoppable. The first level is physical happiness. It's about the body, food, sex, money, Netflix, that dopamine rush, that thrill, that pleasure. And don't get me wrong, it's real, we all love it, but here's the catch: it doesn't last. You get the hit, and then what? You want more, and then more, until it becomes an addiction, not fulfillment. I've coached billionaires who could buy anything, do anything, and they were miserable because they were living in level 1. They were rich in stuff, but bankrupt in spirit. So here's the truth. You start at level 1, you fight through level 2, but you live at level 3. If you only chase pleasure, you'll feel empty. If you only chase success, you'll feel exhausted. But if you chase meaning, if you live with purpose, you'll feel free. So I challenge you right now, take inventory of your life. Which level are you living in? Where are you stuck? Where are you growing? And where do you need to go deeper? Because the clock is ticking, not tomorrow, not next year, now. Life is happening now. Don't just chase happiness. Build it, live it, share it. Because when you live with purpose, when you love with all your heart, when you rise to serve, you don't just change your life. You change the world. Let's go get it. Pleasure is one of the most accessible forms of happiness. It comes from things we can touch, taste, see, or experience in the moment. Good food, entertainment, luxury, intimacy, and comfort. These things light up the brain. They give us a rush. They're fast, easy, and satisfying in the short term. But the truth is, pleasure doesn't last. It fades. And once it's gone, we chase it again, looking for the next hit, the next thrill, the next way to feel alive for just a few more minutes. The problem with pleasure is that it operates on a short cycle. What feels incredible one moment can quickly become ordinary the next. You eat the cake and it's sweet, but 10 minutes later you want more. You buy the car and it's exciting, but in a few weeks it just becomes the thing you drive. You binge the show, and by the next morning you're searching for the next escape. That's because pleasure is designed to spike and crash. It gives you a momentary escape, not a lasting sense of meaning. So many people get trapped in this cycle. They confuse pleasure with happiness, thinking if they just have more money, more things, more attention, they'll finally feel whole. But the more you rely on pleasure, the more it begins to control you. It becomes a dependency. You're no longer choosing it, you're needing it. And needing something to feel okay is a dangerous place to live. Pleasure is not the enemy. It has its place, but it was never meant to be the foundation of your joy. It was never designed to hold the weight of your identity or your peace of mind. When you build your emotional life around pleasure, you build on sand. One shift in circumstances, one loss, one moment of pain, and it all falls apart. That's why pleasure, while enjoyable, must be kept in perspective. It should be a gift, not a goal. Something that adds flavor to life, not the reason you wake up every morning. Because when pleasure is your highest pursuit, you're always one step away from emptiness. Growth is the core driver of lasting fulfillment. It's wired into human nature. We are designed to evolve, expand, and reach beyond our current limits. When you're not growing, you're not just standing still. You're moving backward. Growth creates momentum, And momentum creates emotional power. That's why people feel most alive not when they're relaxing, but when they're progressing. Every time you challenge yourself to do something difficult, uncomfortable, or unfamiliar, your identity expands. You prove to yourself that you're capable of more. Whether it's building a new skill, pushing your body to new limits, facing a fear, or making a bold decision, growth forces you to break the old version of yourself and step into someone greater. It's painful, yes, but that pain becomes fuel. That struggle builds confidence, and that progress creates real, sustainable happiness. Achievement without growth feels hollow. You can hit your goals, but if you're doing the same thing you've always done in the same way without becoming more, there's no fire. That's why some people succeed financially, gain status, or reach their career milestones and still feel unfulfilled, because growth stopped, and when growth stops, passion dies. You lose that sense of edge, purpose, and hunger. Growth isn't about perfection, it's about direction. It's not about always winning, but always stretching. When you're learning, improving, and evolving, even your failures become powerful. You no longer fear mistakes because you're committed to mastering the process. You start to value effort over ease, challenge over comfort. Life starts to feel exciting again because you're no longer stagnant. One of the fastest ways to reignite your energy is to grow in an area that matters to you. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, any domain where you're making measurable progress becomes a source of internal power. You stop waiting for happiness to come from outside and start generating it from within. And that kind of happiness can't be taken from you because it's built on your own transformation. Growth turns frustration into fuel and setbacks into stepping stones. It sharpens your focus and deepens your resilience. You feel stronger, clearer, more in control, not because life got easier, but because you got better. Growth is proof that you're alive, evolving, and becoming who you were meant to be. There is a profound joy that comes not from what you get, but from what you give. Contribution taps into a deeper level of happiness, one that isn't about your personal gain, but about the impact you make in someone else's life. It's the shift from success to significance. When you start living beyond your own needs and desires, you tap into a level of fulfillment that pleasure and achievement alone can never touch. Contribution doesn't require a grand gesture or a perfect life. It starts with a simple decision: to care, to show up, to give your time, your energy, your love, your presence. It might be a conversation with someone in pain, mentoring someone who feels lost, or simply making someone smile when they least expect it. These moments don't just help others. They awaken something inside you. They remind you that your life has meaning beyond your circumstances. When you contribute, you break the pattern of self-absorption. You stop asking, "What do I get?" and start asking, "What can I give?" That shift is transformational. It lifts you out of fear, doubt, and stress. It creates perspective, because suddenly your problems aren't so overwhelming. You see others facing their own battles, and you realize the strength you carry can be used to lift them up. People who give consistently, whether through service, mentorship, creativity, or kindness, often feel more connected, more grounded, and more energized. That's because giving activates the soul. It reminds you that your life has value in the lives of others. You are no longer just a consumer of happiness. You become a creator of it. Contribution also turns pain into purpose. Some of the most powerful change makers in the world have taken their deepest wounds and used them as a source of healing for others. When you use your story, especially the hard parts, to serve someone else, you don't just help them, you also transform your own experience into something meaningful. In a world obsessed with more money, more followers, more stuff, contribution flips the script. It asks, what if fulfillment isn't in accumulation, but in impact? When your life becomes about something bigger than you, you experience a steady, soul-level joy that circumstances can't take away. You stop chasing validation and start embodying purpose. Success is often celebrated as the pinnacle of achievement. It's what we're taught to aim for: higher income, better titles, more recognition. And while success can be incredibly rewarding on its own, it's not enough to create lasting happiness. Without meaning behind it, success begins to feel like a checklist rather than a calling. You can reach the top of the mountain and realize you climbed the wrong one. Many people chase goals thinking that the outcome will bring fulfillment. They believe, once I get there, then I'll feel whole. But when they finally achieve what they worked so hard for, whether it's a promotion, a luxury lifestyle, or public recognition, they're often met with a strange emptiness, because success without meaning is like a house with no foundation. It looks impressive from the outside, but inside it feels hollow. Meaning gives your success context. It transforms what you do into why you do it. It connects your achievements to something greater than personal gain. When your actions align with your values, your growth supports a purpose beyond ego, and your goals serve a mission that resonates deeply. Success becomes more than a win, it becomes fulfillment. The danger of chasing success without questioning its purpose is that it becomes a never-ending cycle. You hit one goal, then the next, always hoping the next milestone will bring the joy you expected from the last. But when meaning is absent, no level of achievement can fill the internal void. That's when burnout sets in. That's when people start to feel lost, despite having it all. The most fulfilled individuals aren't always the ones with the most accolades. They're the ones who have connected their success to service, to growth, to a deeper reason for being. They see their work as a platform to contribute, not just accumulate. They understand that what they build matters not just for their benefit, but for the lives they touch along the way. Success becomes truly satisfying when it's rooted in purpose. When you know why you do what you do, when your goals reflect your values, and when your journey uplifts more than just yourself, then every win becomes meaningful. It's no longer about proving something. It's about living something real. Most people live stuck in level 1 because it's the easiest and most immediate form of happiness to access. It doesn't require discipline, introspection, or growth. It just requires a stimulus, a new purchase, a tasty meal, a few hours of distraction. It's quick, it's comfortable, and it works for a while. But what starts as a simple pleasure often turns into a trap. People begin to organize their lives around chasing the next dose of comfort, and before they know it, they're caught in a cycle that keeps them from experiencing anything deeper. Level 1 happiness is seductive because it gives the illusion of satisfaction. It numbs the pain, it fills the silence, it makes the hard edges of life a little smoother. But beneath the surface, there's a growing sense of restlessness. You begin to notice that no matter how much pleasure you indulge in, it never fully satisfies. The feeling fades, and you're back where you started, searching for something else to fill the void. This is where so many people get stuck. They stay in jobs they don't love because the paycheck funds their comforts. They stay in relationships that lack connection because they're afraid of discomfort. They avoid taking risks or growing because level 1 has taught them to fear pain and crave ease. But ease doesn't equal happiness. In fact, the longer you live in level 1, the more distant true fulfillment becomes. The real danger of staying in level 1 is that it dulls your ambition. It convinces you that you're okay when deep down, you're not. You stop dreaming big, you stop striving for more, you trade potential for predictability, and even though everything on the outside might look fine internally, there's a quiet dissatisfaction that won't go away. People stuck in level 1 often compare themselves to others, thinking, maybe if I had what they had, I'd be happy. But happiness doesn't come from what you consume. It comes from who you become. And level 1 doesn't require you to become anything. That's why it feels safe. And that's why it's dangerous. It keeps you numb, passive, and dependent on external sources for your internal peace. Until you choose to rise above it, you stay locked in a loop that keeps true happiness out of reach. True happiness is living with purpose. It's the kind of happiness that doesn't come and go based on circumstances, but remains steady because it's rooted in something deeper than achievement, pleasure, or validation. Purpose gives your life direction. It turns ordinary actions into meaningful steps and transforms challenges into part of a greater mission. When you have purpose, you wake up with a reason. You're not just surviving, you're living intentionally. People often search for happiness in external sources, relationships, accomplishments, material possessions, but these things can only go so far. They may elevate your mood temporarily, but they don't answer the deeper question of why you're here. Purpose, on the other hand, answers that question. It aligns your daily choices with your core values. It gives meaning to your struggles. It gives weight to your wins. When you live with purpose, happiness is no longer something you chase. It's something you live. Living with purpose doesn't mean having all the answers or following a perfect plan. It means being connected to what matters most to you. It might be your family, a cause, a mission, your faith, or the people you serve. It's about making your life count in a way that resonates with your heart. Even the smallest actions, when connected to your purpose, become powerful. You find joy in the process, not just the outcome. Purpose also creates resilience. When life gets hard, when setbacks come, when doubt creeps in, purpose keeps you grounded. It reminds you why you started. It pulls you forward when motivation fades. People who live with purpose don't quit easily because they know what's at stake. They aren't just chasing feelings. They're following a calling. Another powerful aspect of living with purpose is how it shifts your focus from self to service. You start thinking less about what the world owes you and more about what you're here to give. You stop asking, "What do I want?" and start asking, "What am I here to do?" That shift unlocks a deeper, more lasting form of happiness. It's the kind of happiness that comes from knowing your life makes a difference. Living with purpose is the only kind of happiness that grows with time. It deepens as you grow, strengthens as you give, and expands the more you align your actions with who you truly are. Now we rise to level 2, the happiness of the mind. This is where we grow, we build, we achieve, we push ourselves. This is where the warrior lives, the leader, the high performer. This is when you set a goal, fight for it, and earn the victory. It's not about instant pleasure, it's about progress, and progress is power. If you're stuck in a rut, let me tell you, it's not because you lack resources. It's because you stopped growing. Growth equals happiness, period. But even this level has a ceiling. Why? Because you can win the game and still feel empty. That brings us to the final, most powerful level. Level 3 is where your soul lights up. This is fulfillment. This is when your life is about something bigger than you. You want ultimate joy. Make your life about giving, about loving, about lifting others, about using your pain to help someone else rise. I've seen people who had nothing, no money, no fame, but they were radiating joy. Why? Because they were living with purpose, they were serving others, they were aligned with something deeper. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. But if you live from your soul, if you serve, if you contribute, then happiness finds you. Every single day.